music, athletics, arts, and entertainment. The Desert Tiger Podcast with Colton Geschwagner.
Rock and roll is more than just a label for a musical style. It's more than just strapping on a guitar and trying to be a puzzle piece in a group that tries to be all of what they think rock and roll actually is, but end up missing that true ingredient that really fuels everything. And I think that ingredient is heart. If rock and roll is in your heart, then everything you do just comes so much more naturally because it's genuine and true. Over the years of pre-built pretty boy glam rock, many of rock and roll's true hardcore fans can see through the guise that has been put in front of them and those who actually bleed the true attitude and soul of rock and roll. Because it's more than just a sound and it's more than just a haircut. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle of headbanging, fist pounding, good time having, fast driving, drink chugging, and overall loud antics. Sure, that's not always the case, as some of us use it to help us get through our day and get ready to hang out with like-minded, ready to go and lose control rock and rollers like ourselves. The Wild don't just walk this line, they live it. The solid, catchy, greased-up guitar licks, accompanied by raspy, party-fueled vocals of frontman Dylan Villain, drive the Wild sound, while bassist Boozes soothes your ears like a cool shot of whiskey. And rhythm man Reese Lightning pounds those skins, making you want to move your feet and catch that small town groove. Add in the youth and the no fucks given attitude of Benny the Kid, and Wild is probably one of the only ways that you could describe this group and the sound that they present. Dylan Villain may have moved across the country, but that small town sway has not only kept up with him, it also seemed to be waiting for him at a party, just like rock and roll would truly want it to be. Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Desert Tiger Podcast, and I am your host, Colton Geschwagner. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 16, whether you are listening on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, CastBox, Castify, whatever you're listening on, wherever you are listening from. This is episode 16 with Dylan Villain from The Wild, and I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. Before we start off all of our interviews, you guys know that we like to give you a little bit of music to get you revved up and ready for what's coming, and of course, your day. So I hope you guys are ready to rock, because this is Ready to Roll.
the Desert Tiger Podcast.
All right, so we are here with Thrillin' Dylan of The Wild. So what do you play in The Wild, and how did you end up sort of forming the band?
Yeah, I'm lead guitar, lead vocals in The Wild. And we've been a band, we started about 5 years ago when one of the bands that I was playing at the time with two of the other guys in The Wild had disbanded. And at that time we sort of knew that we were just going to keep going, and we just weren't really sure, what it looked like, because there's a few other guys in that band and they were dropping off and weren't really into it anymore or whatever, and and at that time the three of us that are in The Wild that were in that band just knew that we were, like I said, we were going to still keep playing. And I just I knew right away that I had an idea for a song, and I wrote the song fairly quickly. I remember it came to us really quick, and that song was Roadhouse. And right away, when we played that, the three of us, we just kind of really knew that we sort of had this aha moment, where we looked at each other and we were like, oh, so everything else leading up to this was, in a way, sort of like a practice to get to, or just it was all leading up to what were about to do, and that became The Wild very quickly. And it was very clear to us at that moment that was the platform for this new band, The Wild.
Okay, so it sort of prepared you guys and sort of introduced you all to each other. So, did the sound from the band you guys were in beforehand, did it differ very much from what is The Wild, or?
Yeah, it was a rock and roll band, and we were a rock and roll band for sure, but it definitely was its own thing. It's a very concise idea, very funneled thought, if you will. It was the band that we were in before had a lot of different ideas. It was a great band, but this idea for The Wild really streamlined things.
Yeah, kind of allowed you guys to focus on what you wanted and what direction you guys were sort of aiming with your sound.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. So you happened to mention before we started talking that you're actually from Ontario. So what ended up bringing you out west?
I came out here just to visit. And apart from just being really excited about being in BC, from being an Ontario guy, and seeing, just the difference in culture and people and the weather. It was just really great because I went to a party and I met actually two of the guys in the band at that party, and it was just we just really clicked and had a really great night. And then it was much long after that it was right away that I was moving out here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So were you playing music out in Ontario before you moved?
Yeah, for sure. I've been playing music a long time, and
yeah,
different bands all over Ontario and stuff like that. And then just really it really, it's funny that I was living in Toronto, and people ought to say Toronto, and major city of Canada, the center of our country in a lot of ways. And I was in some great bands out there and made some great music and all that, but it's funny that it took moving to a place like Kelowna, BC to really, for things to kick off for me.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting how that worked out.
Well, sometimes you need a change of scenery to kind of take away everything that was holding you back from actually chasing the idea inside your mind, right?
Yeah, it could very well have been. It might have been the right guys too, meeting the right guys.
True. Yeah. That's right, is having the right guys that share your vision and who enjoy the same sound as well. Yeah. Is really good. You mentioned your first single, Roadhouse.
Yeah.
That garnered you guys a ton of attention right off the bat. Did that just exceed your expectations right from the get-go, or?
It did, we weren't, we knew I remember, right when we wrote the song, we knew we had something special.
Yeah.
And it was, special to us. And we knew that people were going to dig it. We knew that it was going to be something really cool.
Well, it's catchy, and like
yeah.
that, like the riff when it just comes in with it right off the start, and the chorus and everything, it just comes together so well, and it's just a pure classic rock and roll song.
Yeah, so that was kind of the idea behind it, was to, when we had the riff, it was like, oh, this is gonna work, and then added in that next part where it kicks in, and then that was, from that moment, it was like, oh, okay, so now we're taking it there and kicking things up a notch. And so again, we knew we had something really cool and something really special. But then when we shot the video is really when it really, exploded. And that video came together so well. And again, watching that first cut of it, and I remember it was just me, doing it, editing the video with Stewie Kubrick, our director. It was just one of those moments where it was like, this is a perfect example of the video matching the song. The feel
definitely.
The feel of the song was portrayed very well in the video. And that's when things really blew up. And yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, it totally did exceed what we thought it was going to do. But it at the same time, it was like, we felt really good about it. We felt like it was going to be our time.
Well, definitely after being in a band before that had been jumping back and forth, to finally like have that like actual something tell you that you guys are on the right track must have really been like really good feeling.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Yeah, also the video and that single ended up leading to some pretty good opportunities for you guys, like opening for the likes of Rise Against, Korn, Monster Truck. Like, how did you guys end up like getting that so early in the band's career?
Well, it really goes back to that video. I gotta be honest, it really did. That video became just like essentially a calling card.
Yeah.
Like it was just like the best tool we could ever have in our pocket. So first came the song, and then came the video, and then radio came along.
Okay.
And we were touring, and I can't remember where we were because it's going back quite a few years, but people kept telling us, "Oh, I hear you on the radio," and we'd be like, "No, there's no way." And sure enough, it was, all these radio programmers and jocks were playing it all over Canada.
Yeah, I remember hearing you guys in Regina on the Wolf.
Yeah, and it was just like this weird thing that we didn't even know was happening, and then all of a sudden, sure as shit, it was. And so after there was radio history, and people started messing with the song.
Yeah.
And the video behind it, it's just like I said, it was just this tool, like this great tool that people you'd send it to promoters, or management would send it to promoters or whoever, and they'd hear the song, they'd see the video, then they'd see the radio history, and it was just like this gimme. Like we got a lot of life out of that video, and a lot of life out of that song, and it got us a lot of shows and a lot of tours.
Oh yeah, is that what eventually ended up leading to you guys being contacted and signed by E1 Music?
No, I'd say, I mean, it didn't hurt that whole process, but that was a whole other thing. We had the video, we had the touring history and the fan base built up independently. We had the record done. So the record was already, recorded. Mike Fraser, of course, produced and engineered it, mixed, mastered it.
Yeah.
And so that was in the can. We had built up a fan base, touring around, had some history at radio, and then the agency group at the time they were called came knocking, and Ralph James, the president of the agency group, came and saw us, flew from Toronto to Vancouver to see us and signed us. We said in like 30 seconds of seeing us play, which was amazing. So if you go back and you think about how that worked, we were a band, we went on tour, we got a fan base. We had a song that went on the radio, we had a video that had all sorts of traction, we started getting bigger shows, and then we had the biggest agency in the country, and the biggest agent in the country ask us to be our agent.
Yeah, which
and
is
then,
pretty wicked.
Yeah, and then we had the record done too. So you think of it, if you're a record label and there's this independent band that's got a fan base, that's got a single at radio, that's got a video that's gaining all this attention, and they've got their record done already,
yeah,
and they've got the biggest agent in the country.
Yeah, they don't have to fund the record; they just have to produce it and put it on shelves.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't really. For them, it was a gimme, and I don't want to say like, you know, put it this way: we had some options.
Yeah.
But I'm really confident that we went with the right one, and you know, we're very, very happy where we're at. We love the guys on our team, and they've always been super good to us and believe in what we're doing right from the very start. They've never tried to ever, you know, sort of get in the way of any of that. They just understand what we're doing, and they believe in us, and it's great.
That's good. It's good to have someone backing you that actually supports your product and believes in you.
Yeah, totally.
All right. What was it like working with a producer storied and as achieved as Mike Frazier? And how did he sort of help the band inside the studio?
Yeah, well, Mike's not only is he just incredible at what he does, he's one of my best friends and family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's family to me. And the guys as well. You know, he's very, very much the as that fifth member and the bird's eye view to everything,
Yeah.
So it was great. At the start, it took a bit of. If I remember when I very, very first met him, this is again years ago, I for sure had a bit of getting used to being around a guy like that, or just wanted to nerd out and know all the stories and all that shit. But after that all came through, we really just clicked. It was really comfortable, and it still is super comfortable to this day. It's just such a great experience working with a guy that you've revered and you've listened to all these records and you've known about him since you're a kid, and then you get older, and then you're hanging out making your record with him. So it's a great feeling. He's really easy to work with. We just seem to really get each other in terms of being in the studio and working. Just really, really get each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's definitely deadly. So you guys wrote Goddamn Wild Boys before you actually took it to the label, so...
Yeah. Most all of it.
Yeah, so what was the process of writing that like, and...
It was cool because in the early days, we used to do this thing, and this is for younger bands or bands still getting their start. If you're listening to this, here's something that we used to do, and it really worked well for us. So we went out with one song when we first came out.
Yeah.
And it was a great song for us, great video behind it. And then we released another song to follow it up quite a ways after, Party Till You're Dead. And we had those two songs out. They were free downloads. There was videos for both of them. And what we did was we did not release any of the other music we were writing around the same time.
Yeah.
So when we went to start touring or playing shows, there was quite a bit of time that those songs were out, and people that were in other areas of Canada wanted more songs. Where can we get more songs? Where can we get more wild music? And our trick to that was we just said, "We'll come to the show. You want to hear more music? You got to come to the show. We're not going to release more music. We're not giving any out free. There's no videos. There's no streaming. Nothing. There's 2 songs out. If you like those 2 songs and you want to know more about this band, you got to come to the show."
Yeah.
So that really worked well for us, because then we started really packing rooms, selling out in smaller clubs, and promoters were just blown away by it. They just, because you show up, you sell out a room, and everybody's buying beer, the bar's happy and all that. So that's a really good trick. That was a really good thing for us. So yeah, it was a lot of it was just written around that time. We around the start of the band. writing songs for the band, getting the material together. Yeah.
Okay. So how did your guys' writing process and approach sort of change while you guys were touring and recording Wild at Heart?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I really was considering on all the touring we did on the first record was I was watching the audience a lot, and I was watching the parts of the songs and the parts of the set that they were really, really reacting to the most.
Well, you got to know your audience, right?
Yeah. So what parts musically, like, they were vibing on or was getting them going, and I just tried to take those moments and make them much bigger on the next record. So just really taking what was working on the first record already and making it on a much bigger scale on the second record.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. From your guys' catalog, do you have a favorite song to play live at all?
For both, like for everything?
Everything, or else you can pick one from each, or...
Yeah, I don't know. I really like the moment of the set when we play What About You, because it just takes everything right down and shows another side of the band. I always love playing Party to Your Dead. I'll always love playing Roadhouse. And on the first record, on Wild at Heart, on the new record, Ready to Roll is always a fan favorite, so that's fun. Best in the West lately, when we were just over in Europe, and that song was going off overseas, so that was really, really fun. Yeah, man, I don't know, I could find something almost in every song in the set that I really enjoy.
Fair enough. All right, so you actually just mentioned that you guys were over in Europe and the UK, playing some shows with the likes of Airborne and Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons.
Yes.
How was that for you guys?
It was great, man. It was awesome. It was like, it's been a long time coming to be overseas. We signed in Europe at the end of last year.
Oh, awesome.
Actually, when we were finishing the North American tour with Airborne.
Okay.
And at that point, it was just sort of like this big state of planning kicked into gear of when are we going overseas, who are we going to be with, and at that time we were talking to Airborne about going overseas with them. Mm-hmm. And then it all just came to fruition, and so the record came out in February, and it was like the press in Europe was insane, man. It was not that the press in North America wasn't, but the reviews. Well, they're
a lot more open to receiving that, and their live music support seems to be a lot more steady.
Without question. But the press itself, just the reviews and the amounts of people who wanted to interview and wanted to, get behind the band and interview and review and all these things over there was awesome. So we knew there was really something. There really was something there, and it was just a matter of time before we got there. So to finally get over there and play to the fans and just be in that market, it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Do you have any favorite experiences from being over in Europe? Or?
Yeah, Glasgow, Scotland. This is one of my favorite places I've ever played. It's just, the venue was amazing, but the crowd they remind me a lot of the fans in Quebec.
Okay.
And in Montreal, just so loud. Mm-hmm. Like you want them to make noise, they make noise, and they fucking get loud. So I really appreciated that. Also, basically every show was amazing. I don't know how many were sold out on that whole run, but it was a lot. And we never played to an empty room, even as an opener.
Yeah.
Ever. They get in early. They start shows earlier. They get people in the door earlier, and everybody shows up right as doors are opening. They just rush the stage, and then they're there ready to fucking go. And I loved that. So that was great. Whereas we played the Roundhouse in London. Legendary venue. It was this place where they used to turn the trains around.
Really?
And then they abandoned that. They shut that down, and then it abandoned it. And then Pink Floyd and Zeppelin bought that building and turned it into a rehearsal space.
Holy crap.
And then it became a venue. Hendrix played like one of his first big shows in London there. Motorhead played their first show ever there. Like it's just fucking incredible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, amazing. I think 3,000, 4,000 people. It was great.
Oh, wow, that's fucking amazing.
It was a good one. It was a good one, yeah.
What was it like being able to be around and meet someone as storied and as well, someone who's as big in rock and roll's history as Phil Campbell?
Phil's a great guy. Phil's a mate. Phil's a good bloke. You know, I don't know. He's just very, very. If you know his story, you just know he's such a cool guy, down to earth, and he's got no ego. You know, he's not one of those guys. He's just a really fucking cool guy. He's a great guy. He's a great guy to me, and kept in touch with him since tour, and he's a wicked dude, man. We both like cars, old classic cars. Both like guitars, and just like hanging out, talking war stories.
Deadly. So with the amount of touring that you've done in your lifetime, is there any item that you must have while you're on the road, or any must have ritual before a show, or anything like that?
Yeah, like I need some time to myself, not just myself, but the band has got to be together for me before a show.
Yeah.
I got to do my vocal warm up before the show, so that's just something I rely on every night. Definitely a big part of my show, and you know what I do. You know that, and I don't know, man. I got my little things in my head that I need to do. It's small shit, like I just need, you know, water. I don't need much, but I like water. I like to warm up, and I like the band to be together before we go on. So those are the essentials for me.
All right, that's good. All right, we touched a little bit on one of your music videos earlier. Your music videos always seem to have a very good small town party vibe to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you work with for those? And do you guys like plan having that vibe behind everything, or?
Yeah, for sure. It's myself and Stewie Kubrick, our directors, kind of the minds behind how our videos come across, and you know, we're just those guys naturally. The world that we live in is just, in a lot of ways, the world we've always lived in. And what I mean by that is just we are who we are because we just haven't really changed, you know?
Yeah.
So we grew up the way we grew up, you know, in small towns, in these rural areas of Canada, playing music and skateboarding or dirt biking or, you know, just being at pit parties and being in the bush, hunting, fishing, all that shit. And then just, you take that and you take a lifetime of that and mix that with rock and roll, and really the outcome is the wild. So it's only fitting that the visual aesthetic would match that, because it's just naturally who we are.
Definitely. It fits your guys' vibe and sound very, very well.
Yeah.
So, taken from the slow burn music video,
Yeah.
why is shooting a beer can the number one way to shotgun a beer?
I don't know. It was like just always shooting our videos. We're just thinking, what are we gonna do? You know, what are we gonna do when we're hanging out and partying? What's a cool way to get drunk? You know, opening beer with a chainsaw or shotgunning it by shooting a hole in it with a gun. I don't know.
That was it. The first time I saw that, I was like, that is so cool. Like, that is rock and roll right there.
But you know what it is, right? It's just like sitting around and hang out with like country dudes. You know, dudes are from the bush, and they always got little party tricks like that. So,
oh yeah.
Or I grew up full, like just with a list full of that shit. So you know, you hang out with us and you have a good time doing that sort of stuff.
It's deadly. Alright, so what are some of the future plans that the Wild has in store for 2018 and possibly beyond that?
Just, you know, obviously there'll be another record at some point, but this one's doing really well, and we're still definitely touring it. We've got a lot of dates left into the new year in the US and more in Canada. We'll be back over to Europe again. Yeah, dude, it's just working, man. Just that's the thing of this band. We definitely got to this be at this point just from hard work, and you just keep your head down and just keep fucking working. That's the real key to success is...
Well, that's it. It's if you doubt yourself or second guess it even for a moment, that could set you back.
Yeah, you gotta. This thing, someone really close to me once told me, the harder you work, the luckier you get. That's always been the MO of this band, is just work. You create your luck by working hard, and you just fucking work.
No doubt.
Keep your head down and work hard.
Exactly. As long as you got that goal in mind and you're willing to work towards it, and
Yeah.
you're working your ass off, there's no reason why you can't achieve it, right?
Exactly, buddy.
Deadly. I love that mindset.
Yeah, man.
So, who are some of your high school idols or inspirations?
Musically?
Oh, musically in life, either or, man.
I don't know, man. Depends on what walk of life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I always music's just been my thing always.
Yeah.
So, you know, musically, there's a lot of guys. Lars Fredrickson, Mike Ness, but then Stevie Ray Vaughan and Dimebag. A lot of guys, different guys for different reasons, really, you know?
Yeah.
Bon Scott, of course. You know, it's just, again, it depends on how I look at it. But and then in other ways, my dad was a big part of my life and musically as well, because without him also being a musician, I wouldn't have really looked at music. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't, but it was definitely him, steering those wheels at a young age.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good to have somebody to push you in that direction, especially early on.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are your interests outside of the wild and your music?
Honestly, don't have a lot of time for anything else, but what I do, I like, classic cars, motorcycles, tattoos, getting tattooed, hanging out with the fellas, pretty standard, man, pretty standard kind of guy. I like cooking bullshit when I'm at home because, you eat like shit on the road. So,
oh, yeah.
Pretty open book, kind of what you see is what you get kind of guy.
Nice. Do you have a specific tattoo artist you enjoy, or do you like to spread the love a bit?
Yeah, I got a lot of work from a lot of different guys, but, my main homie, Dustin Croce, is no longer with us. He did a lot of tattoos on me. I miss him a lot, so I was give it up to the memory of D.
Well, at least you have some memories you can always carry with you, not only in your mind, but also in your skin.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. There's a lot of great tattooers out there, man. There's I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends that have been really done really well for themselves as tattoo artists. Heather LaFave, one of my best friends, Otis Tattoo. She tattooed my stomach recently, and
nice.
I absolutely love her and her work. And yeah, man. Just a lot of homies to give it up for in the tattoo world.
All right. You also said you like some classic cars and motorbikes. Do you have Do you have a motorbike or some cars of your own, or
yeah, man?
Anything you're working on?
Yeah, I got a '65 DeVille.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's the white one from the Roadhouse video.
Really?
Yeah.
That's yours.
Yes,
yeah. And he's even got a tattoo. Yeah. That is sick.
Yeah, no, I grew up around classic cars. My grandfather retired doing rods and all sorts of stuff, actually. He had a couple of rods, a couple of T-Birds, a couple of this, a couple of that. I think when he died, he had 30 or 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So being around it at a young age was a big part of that for me.
No doubt. That'll definitely put it in your mind and set you right on that goal. Oh, fucking rights, man. All right, we're almost at the 30-minute mark. I almost have to let you go so you can go grab some grub. So I'll give you one more question.
Yeah, man.
It's the holidays right now. So what is Thrillin' Dylan's favorite holiday movie?
I'm not a big holiday movie guy, but I will say Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Home Alone, and also it's Dylan Villain.
Dylan Villain?
Yeah.
Fuck. Sorry. Thrillin' Dylan's a wrestler back home.
That's cool.
That is my bad entirely.
You're
Dylan
good.
Villain.
You're good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good hanging with you, buddy.
Thank you so much for doing this.
No worries, man.
Alright, I want to give a big shout out to Dylan Villain of The Wild for taking time out of his busy schedule to give me half an hour, sit down and talk with me so that I could present it to you guys, the listeners of the Desert Tiger Podcast. If you guys want to find out more about The Wild, you can find them on their website, thewildrocknroll.com. You can look them up on Facebook by looking up The Wild. You can find them on Twitter and Instagram at thewild_band. And you can find Dylan Villain himself on Instagram by looking up dylan.villain. You can also find their music, that being their EP Goddamn Wild Boys, and their full-length album Wild at Heart, both produced and mixed by legendary producer Mike Fraser. You can find that on iTunes, or you can find the physical copy on their website by clicking the store tab. I also want to give a huge shout out to Bill for hooking up this interview. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Bill. I'm not even going to try just so I don't get it wrong. But either way, you're kicking ass, buddy. So thank you so much. I also want to thank you guys, the listeners of the Desert Tiger Podcast. Whether you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, CastBox, Castify has its own app now, so you can get Stitcher, CastBox, and Castify all for free in your app store. So if you want the Desert Tiger Podcast and any of the other amazing podcasts that you listen to on the go, I suggest grabbing one of those apps. You can subscribe to the Desert Tiger Podcast on any of those services, and you can also rate and review the show on iTunes, and we ask that you please do. Also want to give a huge shout out to Libsyn for featuring the Desert Tiger Podcast as their Rockin' Libsyn podcast this week. You can find a link to the interview I did with them on my Facebook or my Twitter, and you can find that on Desert Tiger Entertainment on Facebook, or you can look up Desert Tiger Podcast on Twitter, which is also our Instagram handle. You can also email the show at desert.tiger.podcast@gmail.com if you want to give us some questions, suggestions, or tell us how much you love the show, because we love hearing from you guys, and we will definitely shout you out. Next week's guest is Dan Moxon of Bend Sinister. Bend Sinister have a very, very specific sound that catches the ears and grabs you and makes you want to move your feet, dance along. And I'm extremely excited for my interview with Dan Moxon, and I hope that you guys are too. But before we can let you go, you know that we have to leave you with a little bit of a quote to get you going, get you a little motivated, and get you to the weekend. So this is our quote. A year from now, you will wish you had started today. That is a quote from Karen Lamb. What does that mean? It's simple. Don't keep leaving things until tomorrow. Procrastination is more than a habit. It's a destination. And it's not very far. In fact, it is usually behind you. So do something today to move the ball forward. Move the needle forward that you keep putting off. Start today and make it a habit. It takes 28 days to create a habit and 15 years to master a craft. So get out there and kick some ass, guys. Because I know that you guys can achieve whatever the fuck you believe. Alright, so I hope that you guys had a great time here. I know that I did. I hope you have a very happy holidays, no matter what you celebrate, no matter what you support, no matter what you believe. If you're part of the Desert Tiger family, we are one big family, and we hope that you have a very happy holidays. And remember that if you guys are going to chug beer by shooting the can, make sure there's nobody behind you and make sure you waste as little beer as humanly possible. Until next week, a big whoop whoop!
The Desert Tiger Podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Thanks for listening.